Again, welcome, and we'll start as usual with a breathing exercise to quiet our mind for a few moments. Then we try to generate good intention by thinking, by us coming here together, giving our precious time, listening, and engage in discussions, reflections, contemplations. Due to all of that, may we be able to actualize loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta mind within our mind stream, just like His Holiness Dalai Lama, Avalokiteshvara. And having cultivated them, may we always be helping, benefiting other sentient beings. And through learning and practice, may we be able to be guided by Guru Avalokiteshvara, His Holiness Dalai Lama, in all our life until we achieve enlightenment. And may it be cause and condition to generate all Bodhisattvas 5 path and Bhumi and achieve fully enlightenment of the Avalokiteshvara. In order to liberate all sentient beings from all their suffering, cause of suffering, and in order to guide and lead them to ultimate happiness of fully enlightenment. Okay. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent, destroyer, the one gone beyond, the fourth destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sukha, the Lord of the world, supreme guide for human beings to be tame, teachers of God and human beings to you, the complete and the fully awakened one, the endowed and splendor destroyed, the glorious conquer, the subdue foundation, your claim, I prostrate, make offering and go for effect. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all rams, Adam in all aspects. With the supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous action. Perform only perfect virtuous action. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual apprehension, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through this merit, may sentient beings attain the rank of all saints, subdue the fourfold, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the weight of aging, sickness, and death. I prostrated the Arya Triple. Thus did I hear one time that Bhagavan was dwelling on the mass of Bolcha mountain in Rasgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of Buddhas. At that time, the Bhagavan was observed in the concentration on categorical phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: how should any son of the lineage train who wish to practice the activities of profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wish to practice the activities of profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this correctly and repeatedly, beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness form. Empty is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compulsion, factor, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena of emptiness without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stand, not division, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compulsion, no factor, no consciousness, no I, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no order, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on and up to including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattva rely on indwelling the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond ego, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in 30 times also manifestly completely awakened, unsurprised for perfect, complete enlightenment, and rely on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurprised mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that wholly pacifies all the suffering should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is declared: Tayata Hum Kadekade Paragade Parasangade Bodhi Soha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Master, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from the concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Master Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as if even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, and thus surrounding the entirety, along with the word of God, human asuras and Gandharvas are overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by the Bhagavan. Sa shi pe ki chung shi me to Dhamma ri ra Yinde Gembade Sangye Shinto Mide Uwai Dogen Namanda Shinla Shivajo Etam Gurana Mandala Niyataya. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I created through listening to the Dharma, may I become Buddha in order to benefit all sentient. Sangye Jodan Sangye Zonam La Chanju Badu Dani. Geshe Sherab Sana Yola Penje Sangye Toba. Sangye Jodan Sangye Zonam La Chanju Badu Dani. Geshe Sherab Sana Yola Penje Sangye Toba. So again, welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining today. So we have been going through this particular Guru Yoga Avalokiteshvara, and within that practice, the preliminary practice, the actual visualization of the merit field, and then civilian practice, mandala, offerings, and then the recitation of His Holiness mantra, name mantras, and then after that, then the meditation on the lumbering, the gradual path, and within the gradual path, lumbering path, we finish, I think, 2 or 3 verses. The first 2 verses that touch on the first verses that touch on the reliance on the Guru and cultivating a proper Guru devotions, and then meditating on precious human life, and meditating on impermanence, that, and through that combined meditations of precious human life and death impermanence, then we come to, through that meditation, we come to an understanding and conclusion that, the way to make our life meaningful is to practice the Dharma. And not only we need to practice the Dharma, we need to practice the Dharma now, right now, without postponing it, because the life can come to an end any moment, any times, things can happen. And so not only we need to practice Dharma, we need to practice immediately without postponing it. And not only we need to practice immediately, the main focus, or we should give more time and more effort in studying, learning, and practicing the Dharma, because that is the only one that can help while we're alive, at the time of death, and after the death. If there is something that can help us all through different stages of our life, so that is, again, with each of those lumbering meditations, as I mentioned before, the merit field you have only visualized, His Holiness Dalai Lama, on which at the heart of him, there is Avalokiteshvara forearm. At the heart of Avalokiteshvara, there is the 3 syllable surrounded by the 6 syllables of mantras, and then again, you make a strong request we try to make strong requests to bless us, to inspire, to guide us, to purify all the obscurations, to have all these lumbering realizations, and to be able to actualize, to bless us to be able to actualize all the realizations. And then once you do that, then again, you can visualize and think that the Guru Avalokiteshvara joyfully, delightfully accepts, and then from the syllable and guardian mantras, white light nectar flows, cleans and purify all our negative karma, delusion, all the obscuration, and especially whatever obscurations to develop that particular realization that we're trying to cultivate, So in these cases, all the obstacle to actualize the realizations of the, precious human rebirth, death, impermanent being cleansed and purified, and then receiving all the blessings of body, speech, and mind, especially all the realization, and particularly the realization of precious human life and death impermanent, And then while you do that visualization, and then you can try to meditate on that. You can do a short meditation on precious human life. You can do more extensive and very extensive meditations. Same with the death impermanent. You can do a short meditations, or more when you have more time. You can do more extensive and very extensive. So when you don't have time, then you just do the glance meditations. You just go through that each points of those. And when you have time, you can go more details and extensive meditations. So next one, bestow on me your blessings to cease actions of non-virtues and accomplish wholesome deeds by being always mindful of the causes and effect from the kind and harmful acts, while revering the three precious jewel as the ultimate source of refuge. So here, the meditations is on refuge, so the meditation is, on the suffering of lower rebirth, and meditation on refuge to three jewels, and meditations on karma. So in this one verse, three main kind of topics, subjects of meditation has been explained. Again, we do the same kind of visualizations, as we mentioned before, and cleansing and purifying all negativity, especially all the obstacles to cultivate the realizations of, understand realization of suffering of lower rebirth, and the refuge, and realization of karma, cause and effect. And then again, receiving all the blessing of enlightened body, speech, and mind, all the realization, particularly the realizations of, the suffering of lower rebirth, and refuge, and realization of karma, also. So after the death, if everything stopped, then of course we don't have to worry about that, if nothing continue after the death. But from Buddhist point of view, even our body might be kind of, cease, whether we cremate, whether we bury it, whatever, turn into the dust, whatever. But our mind, consciousness continue. And that mind consciousness continue and take another form of life. And what kind of life we take, it depends on our actions. Our actions in this lifetime, our karma or our actions, and so therefore you will have a stronger negative karma, stronger negative actions we engage in, then, the most likely the result of that is a lower rebirth. And if we are born in lower rebirth, the suffering is very, very unbearable. We cannot imagine the suffering and pain of death. We cannot compare the suffering that we experience in this life in a human form to the suffering that one will experience in lower rebirth, and especially not only the sufferings, but the opportunity to practice the Dharma. There's no conducive condition to practice the Dharma. And if you don't practice the Dharma, then our mind starts to become more and more negative, and with that more and more negative mind, we continue to create more and more negative karma, and it becomes more and more difficult to free from the lower rebirth. And so therefore, through that meditations, and when we try to meditate on the suffering of lower rebirth, we don't try to meditate suffering of lower rebirth as you are watching someone experience the suffering, Do you get it? Like you are watching let's say when you are trying to meditate on the suffering of, let's say, animals, we don't try to meditate on like you are meditating on like you are watching whatever animal that is suffering, that's going through a lot of pain and suffering, because there's, but instead you try to meditate by seeing yourself in that state and experiencing yourself. If you are in a hell realms and then you are suffering, the suffering of heat, the suffering of cold, and what it is like to be in that, And then if you are suffering, if you are meditating on the suffering of, hungry ghosts, again, you imagine you are in that hungry ghost realms and constantly, always searching for food and drink and not being able to find for not days, weeks, months, You are unable to die, but at the same time, unable to find the foods. And so that kind of suffering. And if you, when we meditate on suffering of, animal realms, again, you can think of suffering of animal realms, those who are especially those who are in the wildlife, the suffering, constant sufferings of different sufferings, suffering from the heat, cold, suffering of not being able to find the food, not being able to have permanent shelters, constantly, you have to be watchful because you can be attacked by anyone, constantly, always in fear, all of those suffering, and particularly the suffering of ignorance in a sense that not being able to, practice the Dharma, not being able to know, differentiate, what is wholesome, what is unwholesome actions, what is a positive state of mind, what is negative state of mind, not being able to know how to reduce the negative state of mind, not knowing how to improve the positive state of mind, so due to that, so what is it like to be in that, so meditating on that. For us, even we know the Dharma. Even we know the Dharma is not easy to practice. Imagine if you don't know the Dharma, and so even with knowing Dharma, and even not only knowing Dharma, not only we know Dharma, but we actually put the effort to practice it. Of course, we are not perfect, and sometimes we are more successful than other times. But we are trying to be better person, trying to practice the Dharma. But even with that, even when we try, sometimes it's not easy. It's not easy. So imagine, when you have no ideas, you have no idea of Dharma, what is right, what is wrong, what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, So therefore, once we understand that, then no matter how the animal might look very peaceful, calm, especially the domesticated animals who have a good, kind owner, sometimes we might feel like I want to become that as that animal, They seem much more happier. They seem to be less complicating than human beings, They seem to be just kind of, content, if they get their food, if you take them for their walk, whatever little bit things you do, seems like they are just happy and content with that. Happy and content to see the owner coming and, so joyful and all of that. And, and we see human beings are much more complicated. So sometimes it feels like, maybe why not come as that animals, that seems much better. But if you really think, if you are that animal, even if you have the best external conditions, still, you don't have the capacity to understand the Dharma. Even if you have a teachers, someone who can explain you the Dharma, to understand and to practice is almost impossible unless someone has a very strong imprint from the past, and so therefore, if you are there, even you are not physically a lot of pain, but you can never get progress in your spiritual path. You can never progress in your spiritual path. You can never get out of that kind of being and to make a progress. And then, there's no opportunity to practice Dharma and make a progress in spiritual path. And the purpose of life is to really make a progress in our spiritual path so that our mind get better and better. So we can actualize our potential more and more, and so that we can be more and more benefit and help to others, Let's look at animals, how much help and benefit they can do for the other beings. Even the most kind animal, you can think of one most kind animal, never bark someone, never bite someone, never hurt someone, except from not hurting others, how much they can really help and benefit others. Very little. On the other hand, we human beings, if we decide, if we make the effort, we can benefit the whole society. Someone can change the whole society, can help to improve the whole society, the whole world. Human and animals, all living beings. That is how much human beings have the capacity. And so that is sometimes I say, we sometimes we become like that, We want to help the animals so much. Of course, we need to help them. There's no doubt they are one sentient beings. But sometimes we have resistance to help one human beings to improve their situation, to support their Dharma practice, to support their educations. Because if we can help one person to become a better person, that person can be incredibly great leaders that can affect thousands and millions and billions of people and animals and so forth. Animals, you can help as much as help. You can only make them comfortable, but no matter how much you do, they cannot help that much. On other hand, same thing, distraction. If the human beings, had also equally kind of potential to be most destructive, to destroy the whole planet. And so again, if we are able to help someone to be more kind, more compassionate, we stop someone from destroying the whole planet. And so if we really understand that, then definitely, we would like to come as a human beings rather than, even the most peaceful animals, and with all the right conditions, And so through that meditations, then we try to generate a strong wish to not to take a rebirth in the lower rebirth, one of the lower rebirth, but to free from those rebirth. And in order to stop from having a rebirth in the lower rebirth, then we go for refuge. We go for refuge to the Buddha Dharma Sangha. And by going to the refuge to the Buddha Dharma Sangha, then that is how we can protect ourselves from taking rebirth in the lower rebirth. So taking refuge to the Buddha as a teachers, as like a doctor, seeing yourself like a sick person, seeing the Buddha as the doctor, the teacher, and seeing the Dharma as the actual treatment, medications, the actual refuge, and by seeing the Sangha as like the assistants that help, nurse or other assistant that help the doctors to treat the patients. So by seeing, the Buddha as the and because, we are sick with the delusions. We are problem with delusions, and we are sick with the delusions. And the only way that someone can help us to cure of that sickness of delusions is, if there's anyone who can cure of that, then it is the Buddha who have cured themselves and who are free from delusion themselves, and who know all the right tools, practice, meditations to guide us, to show us that. So therefore, that is the Buddha. Buddha is like the perfect doctor that can help us to cure the sickness of the delusions. And the Dharma is the actual refuge, the actual treatment, actual cure. So in order to cure of the sickness of the delusions, just as we need to take whatever treatments, medicine we need to cure whatever disease, we need to take it. And that means, we study the scriptural Dharma, how to cultivate the spiritual realizations, such as the compassion, love, bodhicitta, and wisdom. And that spiritual realizations, is the actual Dharma. And that is the actual cure. That is the actual treatment and cure. And in order to be cured of that sickness through the treatment of the medicines of those spiritual realizations, such as the wisdom and so forth, then we need the support and help of Sangha, the assistance, that will remind us to take the medicine at the right time, right doses. Remind us to rest when we need to rest. Remind us, to do the exercise when we need. So all those different things that you need to do in order to be cured of your illness, the assistants, the nurse who are helping the same way is the Sangha that support us, that give us some inspirations. Sometimes when you feel kind of low, when we feel low, then our Sangha members give us inspiration, encouragements, support, it's the Sangha is so important, Yeah, even in the monastery, that is one of the things, Sometimes when you get lazy, you get lazy and you feel like, I want to go to bed earlier today, I don't want to do the, recitations, what you have memorized, evening you do recitation, or you want to do some homework, self-reading and kind of practice. Sometimes you feel lazy and I want to go to bed. Then you see all others studying and then you feel, everyone else studying, how can I go earlier, So that kind of environment kind of give you kind of inspirations, If they were not there, you could have just gone to the bed because you feel like you want, and easy to skip and easy to do that. And so having Sangha is that kind of support, even just being there, even they don't say any word, even that they don't say any words, hey, you need to study or you need to do, they don't say anything, but just because everyone else around you is studying, you feel like, I can't just go to bed. You feel like I need to do. And so that kind of support, even from that example, through that kind of example, inspirations, so then through that, then we take refuge to the Sangha, Buddha Dhamma Sangha. We go to refuge to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha in order to cure our sickness or illness of delusions. And when we are free from the delusions, when you have been cured of that illness of the delusion, when you are free from that delusions, then you don't have to worry about lower rebirth. You don't have to worry about sufferings. You don't have to worry about samsara, There's no more worry, there's no more fear. There's no more worry, no more fear. Because there's no more cause that can lead you to, any kind of those, so that is we go for refuge to that. Mm-hmm. And once we go to the refuge, then we need to follow the precepts, and the basic precepts of going refuge is refraining from 10 non-virtuous actions and engage in 10 virtuous actions. And if we are able to refrain from 10 non-virtuous actions, and if we are able to engage in 10 virtuous actions, and if you live your life on the basis of that, then again, you don't have to worry so much about lower rebirth. You don't have to worry so much for lower rebirth and suffering of lower rebirth. If we are able to live our life according to 10 virtuous actions by refraining 10 non-virtuous actions, and that practice is kind of basic kind of the precept of going to the refuge, and that is how going for refuge can protect you from the lower rebirth. By going to the refuge, then part of that you have to practice, keep the precepts of going into the refuge. And if you keep the precept well without being, without destroying it or without diluting and polluting it, then then you have created cause and condition to have a better rebirth and to stop from having a lower rebirth and suffering a lower rebirth. And so that is how the refuge protects from the lower rebirth and suffering a lower rebirth. And that is because, everything depends on cause and conditions. Cause and conditions. Our experience, all our realms, and our state of beings are dependent on particular cause and conditions. If you create certain cause and conditions, you will have certain. If you create certain cause and condition, then you will have certain particular realms and particular state of being and particular experiences. No one decides that. There's no Buddha or there is no God or some kind of very mighty, powerful out there who's deciding, oh, you should experience this or you should experience that. There's no one like that. It is just cause and conditions. It's just cause and conditions. Just like there's a law of gravity. There's a law of gravity. No one cautions the law of gravity. Because of the law of gravity, then there's things happen. Same way, there is a law of cause and effect. And karma is part of that law of cause and effect. It doesn't matter whether you believe or doesn't believe. It doesn't matter whether you believe in gravity or not. There is some energy that pull something. Sometimes we feel like, oh, this karma is, just kind of created by the Buddhism or whatever, and if you don't believe, then you don't have to experience it. And if you believe, then you experience. Nothing like that. It's a law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect doesn't affect whether you believe it or not. I can believe it's not going to rain today, or I can believe it's going to rain. It doesn't matter, my belief. When condition comes together, there will be rain and storm. If the conditions are not there, even whether I believe or not, it's not going to have a rain and storm. It doesn't follow my belief. It follows certain cause and conditions. We were predicted to have a rain, and it seems to had some drop, and then it disappeared here at the moment. And that didn't change because my belief changed. Because there was some change in the cause and conditions, the way the wind blows, which side of the wind, and the way atmosphere, due to many those changes, then it changes, from having rain or not having rain or strong rain or not. It doesn't be. Why is that? Because it follows certain cause and condition. All the cause and condition to have storm and rain was there, and therefore it rained and there was storm. When those conditions change, there's no more rain and there's more storm. As simple as that. Why is that? It's just simply law of cause and effect. And karma is fall into within that Law of cause and effect. When you engage in certain actions, it has certain consequences. That is it. When you engage in some unwholesome actions, the result, the experience, an unpleasant experience, that unpleasant experience can come in different forms. It can come on emotional level, mental level. It can come on physical level. It can come in the environment level. But basically, you experience something unpleasantness. Basically, you experience something unpleasantness. Why do I have to experience that unpleasantness? Why do I have to? Because we have created the cause and conditions. That is as simple as that. On the other hand, if we engage in certain wholesome actions, certain virtuous actions, the experience is going more pleasant. Pleasant experiences. The pleasant experience can manifest in form on a mental level, on an emotional level. Feeling good, feeling happy, joyful, uplifting. Compassion, kind, all those different, faith, all those different. Or it can come on a physical level, having a pleasant feelings, pleasant feelings. Or it will come in a pleasant environmental and external environment conditions that we experience pleasantness from that. So basically, that is, the karma is law of cause and effect. Is sometimes we make too complicated ourselves. Symbol is the law of cause and effect. That is it. Do we complicate law of cause and effect in the external world? We don't complicate that. We accept very easily. When I plant something, if there's no water, then it dry. If there is enough water, if there's a good soil, if I take care of it, if I give this, fertilizers, if it needs a heat, light, if it is in the right light, it grows. If it doesn't get all this, it will die. And we don't complicate all of that. We just accept, because I didn't give enough water, or because it was too hot, or because there was too much water, or because of all of that. If that's the case, that's the same with our experience. Our experience is the same. Because of certain cause and conditions, we have either good experience or bad experience. So we don't have to be so saying, we complicate and we say, why is this happening to me? It shouldn't be happening to me. Why is it happening to us? It shouldn't be happening to us. It will not happen if we don't create the cause and conditions. As simple as that. We don't have to be upset. We don't have to caution all of that if we have not created the cause and conditions. With that understanding, of of law of cause and effect, with that understanding, then we try to put effort to not to engage into any harmful actions, unwholesome, harmful, non-virtuous actions. Because if we engage into any kind of harmful, unwholesome, non-virtuous actions, either through body, speech, and mind, the result is going to be something that you don't want. The result is going to be something unpleasant. Nobody wants unpleasant experience. We all try to avoid the unpleasant experience. If you don't want unpleasant experience, avoid creating the cause that give to that give rise to that unpleasant experience. So, through that, it hurts others, it harms others, and at the same time, it hurts and harms ourselves. So we try to avoid even the most smallest, even is the most smallest, even it feel a very insignificant, very smallest, any more tiniest non-virtuous actions or unwholesome actions, harmful actions, either through body, speech, and mind, any of them, we try to avoid as much as possible. We try to restrain, refrain, and avoid as much as possible. On the other hand, when we engage into, virtuous, wholesome, here it says, kind actions, kind, wholesome, virtuous actions, then it brings, pleasant experience, joyful experiences. It brings pleasant, joyful experiences. And we all want pleasant experience. We all want happy and joyful experiences. If you want happy experience, joyful experience, pleasant experiences, it's not enough just wishing for that. You have to create a cause and condition for that. You have to create cause and condition for that. Like everything, it's not just enough to wish to be kind. You have to train to be kind. It's not enough wanting to be wise. You have to learn and train and study to be wise. And same with everything. We have to create the cause and conditions. And the cause and conditions for that is our own, virtuous actions, our own wholesome actions, our own kind actions. And again, either through body, speech, and mind, And with that understanding, then we try to, even sometimes the virtues might seem very insignificant, very small. We try to engage into that. Take every opportunity whenever we get opportunity. As the masters, of course, when we talk about Dharma practice, the main essence of Dharma practice is changing our mind, transforming our mind, working with our mind. While that is the case, at the same time, while we are trying to focus on that, at the same time, whenever we get any opportunity to create some virtues or wholesome actions, through body, through speech, we try to use it. Make most of it. Take advantage of that. And through physical actions, if we can create, take the opportunity, make most of it. For example, when you see holy objects, just folding your hand together, bowing down, looking at the holy objects. You have nothing to lose. It's not going to take you so much time when you go in and out from your meditation room, altars, when you see the holy object, or in your living room, even holy object, wherever that is, whenever you have, try to, while you are cleaning, while you are washing, if you can see that, you see it, and try to pay homage. So again, even small things like that, while you are washing, reciting the mantras, while gardening, reciting the mantras, while you are watering, reciting the mantras. Of course, if you can use your mind to meditate, even better. But even you are unable to meditate, but at least you can use your speech to recite some prayers, some mantras, and thereby, making use of all the opportunity, every opportunity. And I of course it is in very much in and that is one of the I think I really like the elderly the older generations in my community, in Tibetan community, or a lot of Buddhist community from the who follow the Tibetan Buddhism. They have mala, and then while they are talking, and then when there's even in a group where they're all together and talking, whatever they are talking about, and then when two of them are talking, when someone is listening, they will start reciting the mantras while they are doing that. And then when they need to talk, they talk it. But when they are not talking, they will. And every small time they have, they utilize that. They utilize that. And by utilizing that, there are so many benefits. Of course, there's the benefit of reciting the mantras. We'll talk later when it comes there. But I feel, there's a lot of psychologists. Psychologically, there's a lot of benefit. Even my parents, even when physically they are very challenged, physically, they never, they always feel being alive, even though physically they are challenged. My mom, couldn't walk for many, many years before she passed away, and she had other challenges as well. But like she never felt like, or she didn't feel like that, is worthless. Her life is worthless anymore because she cannot do things. She's just stuck in her room because every moment she does her prayer, her practice, mantras, and for her, every moment is precious. Every moment is meaningful. And that is the same with how my dad is now. When he's tired, he lay down for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half hours, and then he get up and he started reciting his mantras and prayers whole time. So even we don't talk about the benefit of the mantras, but even mentally, they feel every moment is meaningful, worthwhile. On the other hand, in certain culture, in certain part of the world, where people does not have that kind of practice, then they feel miserable every moment. There's no more meaning in their life because they cannot go out, they cannot do things they are able to do. And now it's like being in a prison is just like, waiting to die. Everything becomes so miserable, so unhappy because you cannot, you can't do this, you can't do all of that, and you are just, that even from that perspective, there is so much of benefit of that, so much of benefit. And yeah, I don't know, I always wish, that even from other cultures, especially those who have been following the Dharma, I always wish they could come to that same kind of understanding and conclusion and utilize that and feel that way. I always hope, instead of, because I feel sometimes people feeling so unhappy and miserable when they cannot do things they used to be able to do, and not being able to utilize the time they have to recite the prayers, mantras, instead just kind of waste your time. Um, and even you are watching a TV, even you are watching a news, even you are watching any kind of entertainment, whatever you are, or even you are listening to a music, or even you are watching a movie, whatever, still you can still recite the mantras while you are doing that. Still you can make a little bit, even you cannot give up that, still, while you are doing all of that, still you can recite the mantras, So at least you use your speech in something positive. Because those mantras and prayer are all very positive, instead of, it's not like a cursing word, It's something positive. Whatever we are saying, the mantra, the meaning of that mantra is something positive. The prayer is something positive. So while we might be doing something non-positive physically, but we can still use our speech for something positive. If we can use our body, speech, and mind all in Dharma, all in virtue, that will be the best. That will be the best. If we can use our body, our speech, and mind all in Dharma, of course, that will be the best. But even if we cannot use all of them in Dharma simultaneously, at least we can use one of them in the Dharma. Even our body and mind is not in Dharma, we can still use our speech for Dharma. Even our speech is in Dharma, we can use our mind in Dharma in that moment. Or even our speech and the body is not in Dharma, we can still use our physical actions in Dharma. So therefore trying to practice the Dharma into wherever we get any opportunity, and making use of it from whatever small opportunity we get. So that is what it. Mm, mm. So that is, yeah. So that is uh, refuge and the most trustworthy protection from the unendurable fears of unfortunate rebirth states. So I think up to that we kind of conclude that. So here, yeah, the meditation is mainly on those three subjects. And next one is the meditations on renunciations, or meditation on the path of middle scope. So up to here is small scope, and from Next one is meditation on middle scope, or that's one way of presenting it. Another way of presenting is, meditation on the renunciations. Okay. So then again, bestow on me your blessing to practice the three higher trainings, motivated by firm renunciation, gained from the clear comprehension that even the prosperity of the Lord of the Devas is merely a deception, like a Syrian's alluring spell. So again, so the Lord of the Devas, Brahma, is supposed to be the most wealthiest, we have all the most wealthy, most wealth, so, like that. So again, same thing, you make a request, heartfelt request, to bless, to inspire, to guide us, to clear all the obstacles, and to bless all the realizations, to grant all the realizations, and then white light and nectar from the Guru Avalokiteshvara flow and cleanse and purify all your negative karma, delusion, all the obscuration, and especially the obscurations, to cultivate the renunciation and then completely cleanse and purify. And then again, yellow, orange light and nectar flow and enter yourself, and receiving all the blessing of enlightened body, speech, and mind, all the realization, and particularly the realization of the renunciations, pure renunciations. So you try to do that, and then you can try to do more extensive meditation on the renunciations. So again, here the way to meditate is, with some kind of spirit can create some kind of something, like a magician or spirit creates something, but it's just a deception. It's not real there. It's through their trick, magic. And so it is what appear to you is just a deception. Similarly, everything's in this samsara, all the prosperity, all the wealth, all the reputations, all the fame, all the money, everything that appears so nice, so great, so desirable, even though it appeared to us, all of those, as something so desirable, something that we really want, something it feels like if we can have that, that will make our life happy, that will change our experience, our life. And so therefore we get a strong temptations and attachment towards that, But this all, that appearance is like just a deceptions, because none of those can really make you happy. None of them can really give you happiness, If you have fame, are you going to be more happy? Absolutely not necessarily. If you have a good reputation, is that going to make you more happy? Absolutely not necessarily. If people praise you, does that going to make you more happy? Absolutely not necessarily. If you have more wealth, prosperity, is that going to make you more happy? Absolutely not necessarily. No. And we don't have to look very far away. We just look in our own place in these countries. There are so many extremely rich people with so much wealth, you cannot even imagine. Some of the wealth they have is more than a country's budget, many countries' budget. that much of wealth. And many of them have great reputations, fame, all of that. Are they more happy than us? I doubt it. I doubt it. You know? And many of those famous and rich people we see, dying with overdose of antidepressant pills. There's so many of them. What does that show? That means they have a lot of depression. That means they are not happy. And so they overdose themselves and they die. And so all of that we see there. And so that clearly shows they were not so happy. If they were happy, they wouldn't have that depressed and have to take those medicines. So that appearance to us, if we have all of that, that will make you happy and your life will be more happy. It's just a deceptions. It's just a deceptions. It's a deception. It's hard to overcome for us. Intellectually, I think we understand when we talk about now here. Intellectually, I think we kind of get it. But in our everyday experiences, I think we still are very much deceived. Every day, we are still very deceived. Still, we always feel, oh, if I can have that, I will be more happy. If I can have more, I will be more happy. If I have this, I will be more happy. If I have that, I will be more happy. And then we kind of keep running after that, chasing after that. And then end up disappointed. After you get it, after some time, you are not happy anymore. Sometime at the very beginning, you might be excited and happy. That happy excitement only lasts how much, I don't know. Sometimes probably it doesn't last more than 1 hour. Sometimes it could last days, weeks, months, but after some time, you are no more happy with that. Again, you are looking for something else, and then believing, oh no, this is not the what that make me happy. If I have that one, that will make me more happy. I got wrong this time, but I'm sure if I get that one, I will be more happy. And you put effort, and supposedly in a good scenario, you get that again. You might feel happy, joyful, excited for I don't know, seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, and again, that excitement is gone, that happiness is gone, and then you feel something, you need something else, you feel you are missing something, you feel there's something else that will make you more happy, and then you think, oh, I know that this was not the one I really gave me, but only if I can have that one, that is really going to be the one, and we keep get deceived again and again and again, and that way, and so, and once we understand, these all are deceptions. Nothing of those external things can really give us true happiness, true satisfaction, true peace. Once you really truly understand, not just intellectually, but experientially, okay, through practice meditations. Understanding intellectually and experientially is very different two things. And once we have experiential understanding of all of those wealth, prosperities, reputation, fame, praise, everything, they all are, even though they appear to be cause of happiness and joy, but they are not really, they all are deception. They are not really true cause of true happiness, true satisfaction, true inner peace and joy. Once we understand that, then we get less attached to them. We get less attached to them. We get less attached to them. We have less stronger desire for them. We have less attachment to them. We have less grasping to them. And when we have less grasping, less attachments, less desire towards them, you find more peace within yourself. You find more peace within yourself. You find more satisfaction, more content, more happy in yourself. You don't feel like you have to run and chase all the time. Something outside. You feel like you don't have to chase and run to be happy, to chase after something external to be happy. You begin to see you can find happiness within. You can find true peace within. You can find true happiness within. You can find true joy within. And when you stop, when you are able to understand that, and then you will find much more peace, joy, happiness, self-content, satisfied. So your life will be much more joyful and happier, and less miserable and less unhappy. So that is the renunciation. Renunciation is not being attached to all of the samsaric pleasure. Samsaric pleasure, samsaric wealth and prosperity or desire, not being attached to them. If we are not attached, we will enjoy our life more. We will be more happy, more peaceful. On the other hand, when we're attached to them, we have much more unhappy, much more miserable. And the way to, and the way to free ourselves, from such a attachment, such desire, and the cause of desire is through cultivating the practice of Tirihaya training. So it is. So by cultivating wisdom, then we can totally destroy the attachment, at the root of the attachment, the ignorance. So we'll be able to destroy and cut the attachment and the very root of the attachments. And in order to have that kind of special insight, the wisdom of special insight, then one need to have the meditative concentrations. In order to have a strong meditative concentrations, we need to have strong foundations of moral discipline. And those three practice of moral discipline, meditative concentrations, and the wisdom of the theory higher training. And through those theory higher training, then we can overcome all the delusions and the root of all the delusions, and thereby, free ourselves completely from all the delusions, which are the root of all the suffering and pain and samsara. Okay. So I think so. That is so engage in the practice of theory higher training that is being motivated by the pure renunciations, and having that pure renunciation by understanding all of these appearances are just deceptions. All of these that appear as the source of true happiness are just deceptions. And so that is the kind of the meaning of the verse there. Okay. So let me see. I think there are some questions. For some reason, I think I have to be very focused on Dharma, or I'm creating cause to be obstacle on the path. For example, I would like to listen to record teaching while cooking, cleaning, painting, but do not, because I thought it would be disrespectful. Dharma and teachers have been misunderstood. Yeah, as I mentioned, if we can focus our body, speech, and mind in all, then that is the great. That will be the best. That is always the best. But if you are not there, all of them, at least two of them there. If not all two of them, at least one of them there. So taking opportunity, even while you are cooking, while you are painting, you are listening to the teaching, you are still learning something. You are still hearing the Dharma sound. You are still hearing the Dharma sound, and you still have the Dharma imprint. And you still are getting some, even though you might not be able to focus fully there, because your mind is focused on whether it's cooking, whether it's washing, whether it's painting. But at the same time, you can still hear some here and there that can be very inspiring, helpful, and reminding all of that. So therefore, sometimes we become too, what you call, the word I'm trying, too fixed. I think that is the word. I think I find people being too fixed. This is the only right way I have to, if I do this, this is disrespectful, this is this. And we become all fixed in everything so fixed. You create your own problems of that kind of fixations mind, instead of relaxing. Everything can be, Dharma should be very relaxing, not as some kind of pressure. Sometimes I feel like many of the students, become very rigid and very fixed and very that, and they create burden on themselves. They make burden on themselves, and instead of relaxing about everything, is, Dharma shouldn't be making you more rigid and more kind of tight. It should be something that make you more flexible and more kind of relaxing, and by doing that way, not only it affect you, it affect others. When other people think, oh, if you practice that person, you have to be so strict, so rigid. It make other people rigid, or other people have misunderstanding of the Dharma. They think, oh, Dharma practitioners are so kind of, so rigid and so fixed. And that can give also a wrong message to other people's, So it affects you, it can affect others. Instead of making it more comfortable for everyone, relaxing for everyone, yourself, others, that's where when sometimes, if someone make mistake, even they make mistake, we don't have to point and say it is a mistake. Don't be, if you want to help, you can say quietly after some time, maybe we could have done this, instead of in front of everyone saying, oh, this is not the way it should be, oh, this is, then it put everyone more afraid, put them in afraid and fearful and all of that, and sometimes that I find, sometimes in our Dharma environment, sometimes I feel like that, sometimes people get so kind of, I don't know, so fixed and rigid in that way. As though, oh, you are going to go in the hell realms or something, so yeah. And so before we, so any questions, any comment, questions, most welcome from our class.
Geshe?
Yes, please.
So you talked about being too rigid, and I understand that. Then sometimes I think there can be a line between being lazy as opposed to trying to be, maybe it's like you're tired or you have something else you want to do. And well, I don't want to be too rigid about my practice, so I'll just wait for that. I guess there has to be a balance there.
Reason and discipline is different, I think. You need to have discipline, Rigid, that this is the only way, I will differentiate being disciplined. Having a discipline is important. We need to have discipline. But to have discipline without being rigid is a different. Rigid is when you become, this is the only way, you can't do other way or that way, because there are so many different ways of doing things. There are so many different ways of doing the Dharma. There are so many different ways of meditating. It's not only one way, there are so many different meditations, tools, methods for same purpose. And so it's like, so thinking that, so rigid is when you think, this is the only way, when there are many different ways that it can be done, So the one you are asking is more of discipline, and you need a discipline. That is different than being rigid and kind of fixed, Yeah. Any other questions? If not, then we do the dedications. Yeah. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen, arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Jikden kamde bende malu pa kangle chungwe sambe yeshe no karin chungme tenzin jaso la sowa deso tuje lundu shom. Tubzu changshin changgen yawe ten zinjong pewe kun so to bolo chosum kuwe le mo tu da so du je guen du xiao ten shu. Ava nu pyo sa de do wa la ya wa kun la pe tin je je la yang sam chin cho de re So Jalaka Din Tembe Krishna. So thank you very much, everyone. So again, everyone here, good night, and I see quite a few of you from Australia, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Great.
Bye.